As first-time university students head off to school this September, we know that there are a number of things to consider, but this is especially true when it comes to finances. Dave Popowich, Portfolio Manager with the Popowich-Kermele Advisory Group, joins us this morning to share a little bit of advice on how parents can help financially prepare their students. Good morning, Dave. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, Jody. It's my pleasure.
It's a very important topic because it's a different world out there in terms of sending your kids off to university. So what should parents be doing to help get their kids prepared for this?
Well, pretty topical for me, given that I just sent my oldest off. She just completed her first year of university. So this is a fantastic topic. And listen, I think we want to start with the idea that there's sort of three general categories I would think about for kids going to school: spending, saving, and don't forget about fun, right? University is also supposed to be fun. So they have to create, you have to help them create, excuse me, a balance around those three things. So that can start, listen, I started this preparation with my daughter about 18 months before she was going to university. But if you're, if you're sending a child off right now, it's never too late. And you want to start with maybe the back to school shopping, right? Have them put together a budget to start with and think about the different things that they're going to have to buy. If your kids are like my kids, I did a lot of that stuff for them, or at least my wife did, and they didn't have to think about those things. So now we're thrusting them into this world where they got to think about what they're going to have, how much do things cost, look for student cards and student discounts so that they learn to start saving a dollar as well as what the value of that dollar is.
It also is very important to start thinking about, how are these payments going to be coming at you as a parent and as a student? Are they monthly? Are they, weekly, yearly? How does this work out?
Well, again, if your kids are anything like my kids, they really haven't had to think about that stuff. So just introducing to them that they're through a budget, that there are going to be things that they have to pay for. If they're staying in at home, it'll be slightly different than, if their first year is going to be in residence, or if their first year is going to be living with a group of people outside of residence, say in a house. So I think you're right. I think they need to start thinking about when those expenses come up. Who's paying for them? Is it mom and dad, or are they contributing some or all of that? And then think about credit cards. So starting to teach them how to use a credit card. I remember my first credit card in school. Nobody taught me how to use it. I went out and I hit the max limit of $500 back in the 80s. And then I realized, oh, somebody has to pay for this. How am I going to do that? So you can either get them a card if they're 18 or older with a fairly low limit so they don't do damage to themselves. Or if you want to do it earlier, what I've done with my kids is got them a supplemental card on mine. That doesn't help them build credit, but what it does do is it helps them understand when they spend on a credit card, they get a monthly bill, they got to pay that bill off. And so they can do those things and, again, start understanding what expenses actually are and how you have to cover them.
You are speaking my language about that $500 limit in university. Are there any other resources that you would recommend?
Yeah, I think that having a job, so I'll just use my personal experience. My daughter wanted to go to school away. And, 18 months before we had this conversation, I said, listen, you're going to have to prove to me that you can actually survive on your own because there's no evidence that you can at this particular point. So, we talked about it. She went and she got a part-time job while she was still working. In some cases, that's maybe not always possible because of student workloads or extracurricular activities. In that case, I think that you would want to maybe create their job, not just school and extracurricular, but perhaps looking for scholarships and bursaries as a way to start attaching their efforts to money coming in. Again, we've got to somehow attach this idea of value of the dollar so that they can start prioritizing at some point when they're spending on fun, when they have to cover their expenses, right? And when they have to do school and so on and so forth. And I think that's likely the biggest piece of the education that as parents, at least I feel we're going to have to accomplish.
Absolutely. Fun versus responsibility, all of these things. These are great tips. Dave, thank you so much. Dave Popowich is a portfolio manager with the Popowich-Kermele Advisory Group.